Well, welcome to another video. Just some of the bits and pieces that I was having to buy to upgrade that white nylon tube there to a copper tube. I wasn't sure if I'd need a new bit for each end, so I bought two. And there's adapters I bought for the sensors. That's an extender for one of the sensors, which I'm not showing you this video. That's an electric fuel pump, which I've not yet fitted, and the copper pipe itself. So first thing was to remove the old union, which was incorrect. One of the threads was incorrect. That was 8 M8 both sides, where this one is M8 on the compression side and 1/8 BSP on the side that goes down there into the stern gland, that brass tube there. That was a much better fit. So once I got that in place, I could start offering up the copper pipe, which is a pipe bender. You have to have one of these if you're going to bend copper pipe, otherwise it bends flat in the middle of the apex and you just ruined it. And it puts a gradual even bend in it, like that, you see. Two bends there. I had to go slightly past 90 degrees on that first bend because it comes out at a bit of an angle. So once I've got it the angle right, I could then cut off the end to the required length, which is what I'm doing there with a little orange and black pipe cutter. I tend to go around many times and only tighten it up slightly as I go. I want a nice smooth cut on the end like that, you see. It was quite awkward working with the pipe still on the coil, but I didn't want to risk cutting it too soon and find out that I was an inch or two short. Never good when you're an inch or two short. I would have just wasted all that copper pipe. Or I've had to put a union on, which would be a messy job. Stick another short piece on. So I was doing a lot of offering it up like that and measuring, checking it. You know what they say, measure twice, cut once. Well, it was kind of mostly by eye and feel. I didn't actually use anything with a measure on it at all during this. I was just offering it up, putting my thumb to the bit where I want the bend like I did there, and then getting the pipe bender on it and sort of just feeding it round all the way over to the brass tube on the right hand side that's looks like it's on its side to you there, just behind the weed hatch corner. That's where it's heading to. I did slightly bend it there just to get it out of the way of the deck, which you can't see, but that's what the phone's hanging off to record this. And it was fairly awkward working in that space. I know it looks quite roomy, but that's because I've tried to put the camera in the best position to get a good shot, or as good a shot as you can from there. But it was very awkward with that coil of copper catching, the weight of it constantly bending away from the direction I wanted it. Which is why you'll see me taking quite a while to line things up before I put the actual bend on. This is what I mean. Every time I thought I had it in about the right place, I'd go to sort of tighten up the clamp. I needed a third hand really. I'd go to tighten up the clamp and it would move slightly, requiring me to move the pipe back round. Once you bent it, that's it, it's bent. Quite difficult to straighten it out again, because you kind of extrude it slightly when you bend it as well. Many adjustments. I think in the end I just moved the entire position. It just would not stay still. Look at that. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I didn't think of that earlier. So, I wanted it to look good, with bends in the right place, and different angles. And, considering I've not done this kind of thing before, I was quite pleased with the way it turned out in the end. It's not perfect, but it's a damn sight better than the white nylon pipe that I kept standing on as I was getting in and out of the engine bay. Every time I stood on it, it would squash a bit or shear or pull off the connector into the stern gland. Well, look, I've taken the plunge and cut the other end. I felt confident enough. What I thought was, I can get it roughly right. I'm mounting the actual greaser pipe onto that bit of wood that you can see in the bottom corner there where the end of the pipe is that I've painted over. And I knew the bit of wood was larger than the base of the greaser itself, so I would have a little bit of wiggle room. So I thought I'd get it roughly right and then use the fitting to attach it to the greaser and then position the greaser to suit the length of the pipe. And it kind of worked out. The main awkward bit you can't quite see, but just past the weed box on the right there's a drainage pipe going from the edge of the decking board channel and drains water through into the canal. And I wanted to hook this around the back of it, but I didn't want a tight turn, I wanted a sort of long, lazy turn. So I think I did about 4 small bends very close to each other, and it worked out quite well. You'll see in the final shot that it curves around it quite nicely and it keeps everything out of the way. So this is where I'm putting that gradual bend around the drain that I was talking about. I guess it's not really one gradual bend, but a series of small bends. Now connecting the greaser up to the end of the pipe, I think. Oh no, not quite. Just making a slight adjustment to the length of the pipe. Taking a little bit off, easier than putting a little bit on. So connected on one end, connected onto the other end. Just nipping it on there to make the nut squash the olive onto the pipe to create a good fit. There we go. Doing the same at this end, nipping it on, and then I can just screw that with these butterfly screws. They're really for drilling into metal, but I thought they'd be fine for this. There was no risk of them getting as deep as the hull and piercing it, because it's a nice bit of 22mm ply that, and they're like 18mm screws, so there was plenty of room for them to get into there. I used an actual screwdriver instead of an electric one this time. I wanted the control, and also it was a tight space, and also there was only 2 of them, and that was pretty secure. So I can move on now to packing that with grease. So unscrew it there. Now I knew there was going to be an issue filling that space with grease when there's going to be air trapped in behind the grease, and I wish I'd watched Narrowboat Will's video, which came out the day after I did this, where he takes both ends off and just sticks the pipe into his tub of grease and lifts it out, and it's perfectly filled with grease with no air whatsoever. It didn't occur to me to do it like that, but I will definitely do it like that in future. Narrowboat Will's channel is really good, not just for sort of cruising videos, but also for sort of mechanical and technical things. See the air bubbles coming out the end there, the bottom end. As I've backed off the piston, there was some water trapped in there from when it sank, I guess, and that's just pushing it out. But still at that point I didn't think, oh, I could unscrew this now. No, I persevered in packing it in by hand and it making farting sound. So this is the grease that everyone uses for the stern gland, as far as I can tell. Morris K99. It worked out cheaper to just buy a big tub, much cheaper per 100ml, and that'll last me for quite some time, I'm sure. I'll just keep it there in the stern. So here I am packing the grease in with a gloved hand. How easy it would have been just to take the other end off and plunge it into that tin, but no, it didn't occur to me. So there I go, trying to force the air out. I So there's probably still air pockets in there, even though I did eventually take the other end off and try to pack it from the other end. Well, you live and you learn. So just screwing it back on there. Then it occurs to me to take the top end off as well. So it's better than not doing it, I suppose, but yeah, Narrowboat Will's way would have been better. So I had to use a couple of Stilsons here, one to hold the thing still, the other to take the top off, because it's not been done for quite a while. Ideal for these knurled cap ends, really. Use a Stilson. Just tightening it on. What am I doing there? I don't even know. Oh, I think I was tightening it on until the grease came out the stern gland at the other end, so I knew that the line was grease proof, or grease tight, not airtight, whatever you want to call it. Yep, so taking the end off now, gave me a chance to inspect the seals from the plunger in the cylinder anyway. Actually in pretty good condition. There was a bit of emulsified oil on the back side of it, just to be expected when there's been oil and water mixing, but not bad at all. So I just give it a little top up of K99 grease. There we go. Again, made gross sounds. I tried popping a screwdriver in there to give the air a chance to get out, but filled up pretty quickly. The only other thing I could do is take the thing off and then just plunge it into the grease like Will did. I think it'll be fine. I suspect that when the plunger comes up to an air pocket, it will suddenly give, and I'll know that I'm pushing air through. Not a lot left in there anyway, if there is any. As a bonus, my screwdriver got a nice bit of grease, rust proofing on it. So, put the top back on the plunger, nip it nice and tight with the Stilson, and then screw down the plunger until I get resistance. There's the grease going out, and here you go, the final result. I don't think that's too shabby really, for a first time attempt at bending copper. Not too shabby at all, if I do say so myself. And I think what the boat looked like when I first took it over. I'm quite pleased with how it's coming along. Let me know what you think in the comments. Right, thanks for watching, and I hope you found something of interest and maybe even something useful in here. See you next time. Bye.